Do you know what this is? Right? You're going to say, it's a key. In the 70s and 80s, this is still a key, but it was called latchkey, right? See how I have it? This is actually my friend's, right now. This is currently my friend's key to her house. So I like that she has it on here so I can like kind of keep it where I know it is. But as a child, right, this is for Gen X people, but as a child, this would normally be around a string that might even still kind of look like this, because we didn't have a lot of money to be putting things on necklaces. That was for rich people. And this would be like a necklace around your neck. And you would wear it. Now, some people, when they would say, okay, hide the key, right? Like, apparently, like, that was the thing. We could just hide it and nobody would know we had it. But so you take that and you just kind of like pop it in here and you just kind of keep it there. So you knew that you had the key when you got home. And it's just so interesting because being a Gen X person, it's something had come up yesterday. This is why this is coming to here for me to talk to you about it. So my daughter was leaving the neighborhood yesterday and, new driver, she ended up hitting somebody, did a little damage to his car, a little bit to hers, nothing crazy, but the front, like the tag fell off, a few other things. So, she's panicked and she calmed down. We got home and, front's kind of like got all of this like stuff on it that I can like, for the most part, get a lot of it out. Some of them have deep scratches. They're not coming out, just match the paint kind of thing. And so I was showing her different things, and I'm very resourceful because I will tell you this. Believe me, growing up 70s and 80s and Gen X, we're feral. We are feral human beings. Most of us have no F's to give. Now, we're all usually pretty damaged. Like, we've all had damage, either from being too strict, like that was my bestie, or like, fend for yourselves. You'll figure out life. And so my daughter goes, Mom, like, you're so, like, you can just figure stuff out. And I said, well, honestly, I think critical thinking skills, are going to come from survival a lot, but also we were kind of put in that position, right? We couldn't Google something. We had the yellow pages. Oh my God, which was so hard. The yellow pages and the white pages. Literally, you would get a book every month, something. No, it wasn't a month. It had to be like every 6 months to a year. And the yellow pages was thick. This had businesses and all of these things. And the white pages were a little thinner, but it had, if you were a published number, this is where you could find everybody's number. So if you're like, I need to find Tony's Pizza Place, well, you got to go in here. You got to go here. And the yellow pages would be for that area. So you had to come up with all these things. There was no Google. There was no, let me check that out. And so, and she said, and I said to her, I said, well, do you notice how I like do things around the house? And what I mean by that is I am a handy person. I am the handy person. Like Paul's great. Don't get me wrong, but I'm very much a handy person. My dad did have a tow truck company, so I learned a lot about cars. So like when she sees me like pop a hood or do something, she's like, Mom, you know a lot. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, but I was exposed to it, right? So what you're exposed to, you end up picking up. And I said, but you know how I can like take a door off the hinges and fix the hinges and make it not stick anymore. And like the things that you do, butter knife, right? The butter knife, that's also a screwdriver. Let's be clear. Butter knife is also a screwdriver. Yes. If you don't have a screwdriver, take the butter knife. Especially if you're taking it has to be a flathead, not a Phillips, but a flathead, and take it off. And it's like, you become resourceful. But I think where I think as a generation, as generation X comes into play, is, we're still sort of the decision makers. Now we have the millennials who are coming up who are going to be big decision makers, but we kind of are. And I think part of it is where we struggle is, and again, I'm just being so blanketed because we all go through our own things. I'm not saying all Gen X. But remember, we were very feral. We had to figure it out. We could check out in the morning. We could be like, hey, gonna hop on our bikes, gonna go to a friend's house or go to school, but you're skipping school and you're drunk in the field. Like, nobody knew. You didn't have GPS. Your goal was to be home by the time the lights were on, the street lights were on. And if you weren't home by the time the street lights were on, it was a whole other ballgame. Plus, your neighbors could beat the hell out of you. And then your parents would beat the hell out of you because your neighbors said, I saw them do this. Like there was a lot that happened that really messed with us, right? But there was a lot that happened that gave us a lot of strength and abilities and critical thinking. But I think where we falter is there's a part of this generation, right, as a collective, where we've also adopted these things like scarcity mindset, right? Worrying about money. This is where the anxiety comes in, and anxiety for everybody. But I'm just saying the scarcity, right? Because for most of us, most people I know, I should say, who grew up in that generation, were very blue collar, not really middle class, lower to middle class. And, so we developed a scarcity mindset, but we also developed this lack of trust and this feeling of survival mode. So think about that, right? So we learned a lot of positives, woo, a lot of positives. We have critical thinking skills. You could put us on an island somewhere, and while we're used to our phones and stuff right now, we'd figure it out. We'd be building forts. Remember building a fort in the woods? We'd be building forts in the woods. That we'd be able to do that, right? We'd get through our little detox of the phone and we'd be good. But I think where you got to remember when you are looking into healing that is you got to appreciate it first, right? Because we always want to get rid of things, but I want you to be able to appreciate it, right? I want you to be into a space of appreciating the fact that yes, did our parents do right? No. Are we doing better? Hopefully. Are we going to screw our kids up? Yes. And your goal is to screw them up about this much less, this much, and that's a success. It's all you can do, right? Because a lot of times you can only do what you can do, right? That's why you learn it. But don't get caught up in rushing the process. Let's go back. Okay. This is specifically for us Gen X people and older and even younger, even millennials. I don't care. It really does pertain to everybody. Don't go back into survival. Easier said than done. I know. Don't go back into survival mode because that's what you're familiar with, and then try to rush the process. All right. It is a slow process. It is also rewiring and deprogramming all of the things that we were programmed with, and then finding something new. But again, if I'm talking about a collective as like Gen X and anybody else, we were also told these things. Family is everything. No, they are not. Yeah, they're everything. Yeah, they're everything. All right. Everything in the middle of everything. No, stop thinking that people can just do whatever they want because they're family and you got to show up. Nope. Bad, super toxic. No. Right. We were told, put yourself last. No. Are you selfish? Are you kidding me right now? That's selfish. No, it isn't. So you have to realize you come from, no matter who you are, no matter your age, you come from the program of what you're given. To rewire that program means you got to be okay with doing the work. And it is going to take a lot of work. And specifically here for my Gen X people, you can do it. Hello, we're the Lord of the Flies. We were tributes at the Hunger Games every time we walked out the house. You can do it. You have to lower your ego. You do not have to do this all by yourself. You do not have to go into hypervigilance mode. But I think where you're struggling the most is either trying to do it your way and trying to control it. Never going to happen. Trying to rush the process. Definitely never going to happen. Wanting to, and we come from a work generation. But when we worked, it was always you work and you see the results almost immediately. That's not how this is going to go. And you're going to go forwards and you're going to go backwards. Got to get out of the perfectionism. Got to get out of the people pleasing. That's sticking you. You know what I mean? And you'll see that every generation is kind of known for something and what they can't let go of. And, we don't know anything for the younger generation. The younger generation doesn't, even millennials, right? If you find the screen time generation, which is what it's essentially called right now, the screen generation, they're going to look at millennials and go, they don't know what they're talking about. They're old. They're definitely going to look at us. And then you look at the boomers and they're going to be like, ugh, you know what I mean? You're going to face that adversity in your life. There's going to be people who are going to think you don't know what you're doing. There's going to be people who are going to think those things. That's not your problem. Your goal and your focus is to focus on your life, healing yourself, undoing the programs. Don't live in the I remember when. Use it as a springboard, though. We did the damn thing. We were the generation. Well, we had to figure it out. We were the latchkey kids. All right. We were a bunch of garbage pail kids just waiting to just try to figure out life. So you can do it, but you got to do it. You got to be consistent. Let's go back to the roots of our Gen X. Okay. Let's go back there and take that resilience. We got a little comfortable here. Drop your ego. And I promise you, you will find so much more peace on the other side of that.